Good morning, family. It's so good to see all of you this morning. Last Sunday was a little cold, and a lot of you made it out anyway. This morning feels a little bit better, I think. At least it does for me. Last Sunday, I looked at my phone when I got up, and it said it was 27, and it felt like 17. And I was headed to Melbourne, and I looked at my phone, and it said there it felt like 11. I went anyway. Just want to let you know that. Did give it a moment of thought, but I did go. And we had a great service, and we had a good crowd as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here this morning. Today we're going to talk about going with the flow of abundance by focusing on our good. So in Unity, we teach that abundance isn't something that you chase. It's not something that you strain for. It's not something that you can fear losing. Abundance is an ever-present spiritual reality that we have. It's a part of our divine inheritance as expressions of God. And I remind you again, you are an expression of God. That is who we are. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore often reminded us that God is the source of all our good. That's why you'll hear some of us refer to God as source, or we may say divine, or we may say something else, but that's usually a reference to that which most people would consider or call God. And when we remember this truth that God is the source of all of our good, we can relax into that spiritual current that's always moving toward greater life, toward greater love, and toward greater possibility. We are infinite potential. We are a part of God. When I was a kid, there was a song that we learned, and it's stuck in my brain ever since. It's called River of Life. It says, I've got a river of life flowing out of me, made the lame to walk and the blind to see. Open prison doors, set the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up, O well, within my soul. Spring up, O well, for I am whole. Spring up, O well, and bring to me that life abundantly. There's a river of life flowing through every one of us. Some religions call it chi, some call it prana, some call it the Holy Spirit. But for each one of us, I just call it the divine. It's the divine that's a part of us. It's that ever-present activity that's in our life, expressing in, as, and through every one of us. Whether you're aware of it or not, that sacred stuff is flowing through you. It's a part of who you are. It's always guiding you and supporting you and calling us toward our highest and best self. It's that good that we need to learn to focus on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in our world. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in our daily lives. And we need to stop worrying about those outer circumstances and spending so much time looking at that and look at the good that's going on in every one of our lives. There is good on my worst day. Even when I don't feel like it, even when I don't want to get up and get out of bed, there is good going on in my life. We need to enter that flow of life. We need to release our resistance, our fear, our scarcity, whatever it is that's holding us back from the belief that life is flowing through us and is us. So this morning, a couple of questions. Are we going to go with the flow of our abundance, or are we going to resist that abundance? Are we going to focus on the good, or are we going to focus on all the other stuff that's going on? Abundance is not merely something that's material. It's the fullness of life. It's peace of mind. It's clarity of purpose, knowing why you incarnated to this earth. It's love in our relationships, creativity in our work, and financial and physical resources, yes, are a part of that. And it all is there to support our highest good. Abundance is not something that God consciously gives to us, or occasionally even gives to us. Abundance is what God is. And if God is abundance, then you too are abundance. because we are a part of God and God is a part of us. Just as the sun can't help but shine, even on bad days, the divine can't help but radiate good for each of our lives. Jesus said in John 10:10, I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. I think he was speaking to that natural spiritual flow that's in all of us. And there are no exceptions to that flow. It's in you even if you're not feeling it right now. It's there. That's a part of who we are, as I said. And when we think about being all that we are and living abundantly and living an abundant life, we need to consider, what did we incarnate to this earth to be? What did we come to this earth to do? Some of us have figured it out, some of us not so much. I'm going to retire in 2027, which seems like a really long time off, but not so much so anymore. And I keep trying to decide, what is it I want to be when I do that? Which I ask myself, what is it I want to be when I grow up? That's the next step. What's it going to be? I don't have a clue. People always ask me, what are you going to do? I don't know. I'll figure that out when we get there, one step at a time. And that's the way we need to take our abundance. That path is not always going to be exactly clear and where you know from beginning to end how it's going to go. But what I do know is if I step out in faith, if I move forward, then I can follow my path of abundance and I can live that abundant life that was talked about in John 10:10. I think it goes a lot deeper, though, than that sometimes. I think it's also talking about the spiritual richness of our life, the spiritual contentment and the flow of abundance that we have in our daily life. I think that's what it means by having an abundant life and living it abundantly. Unity teaches that life moves through rhythms. For every inhale, there's an exhale. For every giving, there is a receiving. In every blessing we send forth, another one comes to us. We can choke the flow of abundance by only receiving. We can also stagnate it by only giving. We need to learn that those are a part of the spiritual law. And that law is simple. Circulation creates increase. One of my favorite events from this church was years ago when we just opened up the room. Everybody brought what you wanted to get rid of from your house. We invited the entire neighborhood to come and join us, and you just took what you wanted. It wasn't selling it. It was just releasing it and putting things back into circulation. I took a lot of laundry to my dry cleaners this week. I hadn't been in a while. That's never a smart thing for me. So I brought back 20 laundered shirts. And then I had to find somewhere to put them. Now, I share that with you because I have the master bedroom walk-in closet, which has 3 sides of rows and rows of clothes, most of which I don't wear, haven't seen in ages. I wore a shirt the other day to work, and everybody was like, that's really nice. Is that new? And I'm like, no, it's probably 20 years old, but I found it when I was putting stuff up. We need to put things back into circulation. That's my lesson for me this morning. Get rid of some of that stuff. Because as we circulate and as things move along, then more good will come to us. When the water stops moving, it stagnates. And we need to make sure that we're not stagnating the energy that's flowing in our lives. So to go with the flow means that we need to give generously and we need to receive joyfully. When I was in my 20s, I was working for a church as their youth minister and their music director. And people in this area lived on farms. And they would bring me things. Like they didn't give you money or cash, they brought you gifts of food. And they would bring me tomatoes and squash and green beans, and God bless them, kale. So here's the problem with that. In my 20s, I didn't eat tomatoes, squash, green beans, and I didn't even know what kale was. Pretty much, if it was green or red, it did not go in my system. So I would say, thank you, but no thank you. The pastor was wise, called me to a meeting one day and said, look, this is their gift to you. You don't deny them the ability to give to you. I don't care if you like it or not. You take it. So from then on, I learned to take it. I eat all of those things now minus tomatoes. But I did learn. And what I couldn't use, I gave to my neighbors or I gave to someone else, my parents who lived 20 minutes away. We need to learn to receive as well as to give. But let's not forget that giving part. Unity's first principle teaches that God is absolute good everywhere present. Or as we sometimes say, one power and one presence in the universe and in our lives, and that is God who is good. Not just present in times of peace. Not just present when things are working out and everything is great. God is present in the flow. When things are good, when things are not so good. One of my favorite sayings is that life is not happening to us, it's happening through us. We get to make a lot of choices. And as that energy flows through us, we get to decide where we're going to focus. We need to focus on the good. We need to take that step of faith and move forward. I think the more we focus on the good, the easier it is to see more good. See the things that are happening in us, to us, with us, for us, in a different light. We can see good in things that we might consider not so great in the beginning. Depending on our faith and deepening our faith means that we're evolving and we're growing in those spiritual principles. So I read a story about these two men. They were marooned, I cannot say that word, on an island. One man was pacing back and forth. He was worried and he was scared, while the other man just laid back and enjoyed the sun. The first man looked at the second one and said, "Aren't you afraid we're about to die?" The second man said, "I make $100,000 a week, and I tithe weekly to my church. My pastor will find me." So here's the part where I go from talking to meddling. Tithing is an important lesson for most of us. I remember when I was 3 years old, going to church, my mother always gave me a dime to start with, then we moved up to a quarter as I got older, to put in the offering plate. It's been a part of who I am since I was that young. I know that if I'm going to go with the abundance that is mine, then I need to be tithing to the place where I'm spiritually fed. That's hard for a lot of us. Unity teaches that tithing is giving 10% of your income to the source of your spiritual nourishment as an act of trust and an act of thanksgiving. That's based on various scriptures, but Malachi 3:10 talks about bringing the full tithe into the storehouse. And then it says, God says, put me to the test. See if it doesn't work for you. If you give and it doesn't work, stop. Don't do it anymore. But I guarantee you it'll work. Because when God said that and he was talking about that test, he was talking about, an act of obedience. And he promised a bountiful response for each one of us. The windows of heaven, he said, would open wide and pour out on us a blessing. That metaphor talks about what good we get back when we tithe. Luke 6:38 is one of my favorites. Anytime I bless the offering, you hear it. Reverend Kathy used to use it a lot too. It talks about what returns to us being pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Again, that's a metaphor for the grace and mercy that we show to others coming back to us. We are called to share with others. 10% of what I make goes to this church. Another 5% goes wherever I want to give it, to different people, to different things that are blessings in my life. But I encourage you, if you're not tithing, to give it a shot. When we tithe, we declare God is my source, not my bank account is my source, not my job is my source, not the economy is my source. God is our source. I don't believe it's an obligation that you have to do. I don't believe it's a commandment. I don't think it's a payment because God doesn't need our money. I do believe it's a practice of consciousness. And I think when we team up with giving, that creates that natural flow to continue giving for us. Sometimes we block that flow by the resistance that we have. We're to look at our experiences through the dominant thoughts and beliefs that we have. That's how we co-create, which is Unity's third principle. Those dominant thoughts that we have, those beliefs, those feelings, and then we can move forward with greater abundance and greater blessings. I keep thinking of the song, God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. And I give thanks for all my blessings. That's a part of it. Gratitude. Focusing on the good and being grateful for what we have. Now, there are different ways that people tithe. Some people give their money, which I think we're all supposed to do. Some give their time and their talents. And I am grateful for all of those ways that people give. Whatever is the way that you are called to give is exactly what you need to be doing. Don't worry about what other people are doing. It's not a competition. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people. We need to be on our journey, taking our step forward and doing what we need to do. Sometimes that resistance comes from fear. Fear that we don't have enough. Or we believe that we're unworthy of the love of God, the blessings of God. We are attached to old patterns, things that were part of who we were when we were younger. I think I've told you this before, but there was a time in my life when I actually went all these crazy roads to get here because I didn't have enough money to get on the toll road. Isn't that sad? That's just sad. Not really. What I did have was a car, a house to leave, a place to come, and more than enough money to buy food. So me not having money for a toll road was just my fear of losing something, of giving something up. Where reality was, I had so many blessings. I was focusing on the wrong thing. I needed to be focusing on the good in my life, all the good things that I had, and not attached to those old patterns from my childhood where I thought there might not be enough. We need to let go of those stories and let go of everything that has to do with lack in our world. Resistance is when we say things like, I have to figure this out on my own. I'm all alone. I don't trust what's unfolding. I'll be safe when things are going my way. But God's flow says you are never alone. I am guiding you to your highest and best self. I am safe when things are going my way. I am going to let go and let God work through me is the response we should have. When we give over to fear, we need to stop that and take a step of faith. Instead of giving our plans over to all of the things that are concerning us, we need to let go and let divine wisdom take over. We need to move forward with those things that are our best, and we need to focus on those goods in our life. When we do focus on these things, something shifts, and we no longer try to force abundance, we just allow it. We go with the flow of abundance by focusing on our good. There's some really simple practices, practical practices that we can take up to align with our abundance. Morning affirmations. Set an affirmation for your day. God is my unlimited source, period. I move today in the flow of divine abundance. Affirm all the good that's coming to you each day. Practice gratitude. List 3 things daily that demonstrates God's good in your life. Say those things, write them down, practice being grateful. For the more grateful we are, the more we're going to get. That's how it works. The more we open up, the more space there is for good to come to us. Give something away. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's just a kind word to somebody else. Maybe it's you encouraging someone and taking them on as a mentor in your life. Give consciously and give joyfully, and be the light in somebody else's world. Tithe where you're spiritually fed. That keeps you in partnership with Source and with your spiritual community. Trust the process. Abundance is often revealed step by step, not all at once. So today I invite you to release fear, to release any tension you have about giving, about receiving, about the law of circulation, and let that become a huge part of your life. You are part of an abundant universe. You're an expansion and an expression of an abundant God. As you give, as you receive, as you tithe, as you trust, as you are the light of this world, step into that river of divine flow and don't resist. I focus on my good. I go with the flow of abundance. I give in faith and I receive in joy. God is my source, and all is well. I invite you to take a deep breath now. Become comfortable where you're seated. Relax your jaw. Loosen up your shoulders. Let anything that's in your mind that needs to go away be gone. Just dismiss the thoughts that are coming into your mind. As you breathe in, feel the fullness of this present moment. As you breathe out, soften into the moment. Feel your heart being love, being an expression of peace and of joy and of kindness and of goodness. With your next inhale, I want you to think about giving. True giving is never measured by the size or the effort, but by the sincerity with which it is given. We give in love. We give joyfully and cheerfully. Hold that thought for just a moment. Now I want you to think about the receiving part of that. Receiving isn't a passive act. It's us being genuinely in the flow. It's us focusing on our good and accepting gifts from others, accepting help when we need it, accepting care from others. It's very difficult for many of us. We were grown up and taught to take care of ourselves, not to be reliant on others, but allow others to care for you, to take care of you, to love you, to offer kindness and peace and joy to you. And now I ask you to think about both of those things, giving and receiving. And how might you share them with this world and this community to make it all a better place? And I invite you to take that thought into the silence. When you're ready, I invite you to gently come back into this present moment. Remember that giving and receiving are not opposites. They're part of the same. Both are sacred. Both are needed. Know you are the light. You are the light of God in this world. You are light and you are love. And so it is. Amen.